Hey guys, how's it going? It is your boy, Manga Drew, coming at you with a different video today. In this video, I want to go over something new, because just recently we have the entirety of My Hero Academia Volume 34 and the extras dropped on Twitter. So in this video, I just want to go over these information that we have, because this is something that we won't be getting for a while. We're on like volume 30, I believe. We're a year behind. So I want to go over some of these extras that we won't be getting for a while to give you sort of like kind of a taste of what is going to be in this volume. And there is a fair amount of interesting stuff, so let's dive right into it. So for starters, we have the cover of volume 34, which in all honesty is probably the most controversial thing, because I'm pretty sure this volume is the volume that contains the fight with Star and Stipe, and because of that, we get to see that Star and Stipe is on the cover, and many people do not like the cover. Me personally, I'm really just lukewarm on it. I think that it's cool, like with what Hirokoshi is trying to do when it comes to what it appears to be more of a photorealistic image of Star and Stipe, and she does have a very defining figure. But a lot of people are really focusing on the face and how it appears that a lot of people don't like it. I'm very 50-50 on it. I think that it's a little bit uncanny, but I don't think that it's necessarily bad. So I will say that at best I like it, and at worst I think it's meh. So yeah, going on to the next part of what we got with the extras, we get a just image of a combination of apparently All For One as well as Shigaraki, and how we see an aesthetic that he has, and how this is sort of kind of what his new aesthetic could or would be like, as we see that Shigaraki has this little rag like around his neck, but he's also wearing like a full pimped out suit, showing the difference between All For One's influence and Shigaraki's influence, as we see that the torn piece of cloth he found in the cave comes from Shigaraki, while the suit is prepared by All For One, and how the personalities are mixing, and that Shigaraki apparently disregards his own appearance, while All For One is always ready to show off. So we see that that is the case, and I do not think that this aesthetically is what we're going to actually get in the chapters, because we see that Shigaraki isn't wearing a shirt, but he is wearing like the cape or the cloth, which is very interesting because it shows that Shigaraki and All For One, they aren't completely separate individuals. They're kind of fusing. They're becoming a new person, as we've already known. But the fact that he's wearing a rag around his neck and it's very like akin to a cape, and we know that Deku is also wearing Gran Torino's cape, it just makes sense for this to be a dichotomy between Shigaraki and Deku, as well as a dichotomy between Shigaraki and All For One. So I think that this is a cool design, and I really wish that maybe we got to see this more. We get to see Shigaraki actually wearing the suit, and then later on he's like, screw this, it just rips it off. That would have been cool, but unfortunately I don't think that is going to be the case. And we got some information about another character that we saw in this chapter named Timothy Agbar. Of course, to play on the Star Wars character of Akbar. So yeah, we get to see his full name in this volume extras, and he's not the only person that we get a little bit more information on. And then next, we just have some few pages talking about Hirokoshi, him working with his assistants commenting on how dirty his room is, as well as they are commenting on how beautiful his art is. But probably what is very interesting about this is that we get to see just a page showing what I'm assuming are bros of Star and Stipe, or caricatures of the bros that are or were with Star and Stipe, and how they are representatives of Star and Stipe's bros, as well as Hirokoshi's assistants, because we see a little fighter jet in the background. So that's just my speculation. I just think that it's cool that we get to see this, as well as we get to see Hirokoshi's editor also dressed up as like a fighter pilot, which makes sense for Star and Stipe as a character. And speaking of Star and Stipe, aka Kathleen Bates, we get a lot of information from her. For starters, we get that she's 42 years old, which makes sense for her connection with All Might. She was saved by All Might when All Might was around in his like early 20s, and she was around 4 or 5 at the time, most likely. And when it comes to All Might, he had the quirk for 40 years, and if he got it at a very young age, that means that he's around 50, late 50s, early 60s currently. So her being 42 makes a whole lot of sense. What makes even more sense is her birthday, which is July 4th. So yeah, this is fun because July 4th, Independence Day, go America! So yeah, obviously she would have an American holiday, and actually very ironically enough, I believe this is the same birthday, or at least this is what I've heard is the same birthday of Inko, which, connections there. But we also get to see that she is 193 centimeters, which is over 6.5 feet. And probably the best part about it is that she apparently just likes gummies. Yeah, she's sweet. And getting into her description, we get a little bit of information about her. The fact that her hair is dyed blonde, most likely, and makes sense because the first time that we quote unquote saw her was with brunette hair, so it makes sense that she dyes her hair. And that a description of her is that she's cool, cute, and strong, and that it was these characteristics in mind when he drew her, which, I mean, she is cool, she is cute, she is strong, so I think Hirokoshi really matched that description with Star and Stipe, aka Kathleen Bate. So yeah, we do get a little bit more information about her, but some other stuff that we get information on is Hagakure's gloves, and we get some interesting ideas of how she was able to reflect the light. And how we thought that she was just reflecting the light with her body, but she was actually able to do it with her gloves. And how her gloves have 3 different stages, or her gloves are 3 different types of gloves. One is just a simple glove, the second one is used for direct combat, and the third gloves is used for reflecting light, and this was the one that she used in the moment where she reflected Aoyama's laser, where we got to see an image of her face. So that's very cool to see that she's not using her actual body to reflect the lasers, but is actually using gloves meant to control the light, which is cool and explains a little bit about how she was able to control the laser with Aoyama. And here's probably one of like the most impactful things that we learned in this volume extra. There was some speculation and some like hints to what this would be, but we get full-fledged confirmation of what it is, and it's that they talk about the behind the scenes when it comes to Aoyama and the traitor. And for what we get with the quotes, originally you had Aoyama being planned to be revealed as the traitor during the training camp arc, volume 9 and 10, and that this was a huge change. And yes, Hirokoshi, that is a huge change, because realistically speaking, this could have changed the trajectory of the story moving forward, and whether or not it could have made My Hero Academia longer or shorter is very much up for debate. I'm not going to debate it in this video, but it's cool to see that Hirokoshi had in plan for who the traitor was, and that most likely than not, it was always meant to be Aoyama. Which means that because it was going to be a little bit earlier, the scenes that we got with Aoyama a little bit later may not have existed, or if they did exist, it would have been in a very different context. So it's cool to see that in mind, and I may actually make a video on this topic on its own, but that's going to be for a later date if I decide to do it. And we're getting closer to the end of all of the volume extras. We get a little bit more information about Star and Stipe and kind of like her purpose. We get her concept sheet and how it talks about her quirk when it comes to creating orders. We don't really get exactly what that is, but it talks about like how her hair was inspired by All Might. That's some information on this sheet, as well as her apparent hair and art style change depending on the rule that is making her stronger, and that they wanted to kind of make her fight and make her be used in a Dragon Ball scale battle. So 2 things. One, kind of confirms that she was only here to have an amazing battle, which, I mean, to be fair, it was an amazing battle, so I'm not going to complain. But second of all, the confirmation of her change in art style while using the quirk, which is very interesting and something that many people sort of speculated that was happening, but now that we get it confirmed, it's really interesting. And my idea and how I think about it is that the volume cover itself is a representation of Star and Stipe using her quirk, which is why she has sort of the uncanny valley of her appearance on the cover, because she's using her quirk. Because if you look at the volume itself, you can see that her hair is sticking out like All Might, so most likely her super strength quirk is active right now, which means that her art style is significantly different. So I kind of like that idea that this is most likely the reasoning why she looks like this, because she's currently and actively using New Order, her quirk, at this moment with super strength. So we do have that explanation. We also have like a short like excerpt talk about Hirokoshi. So we have like just 2 small excerpts. One talking about Benton Court, the mangaka or the creator of Vigilantes, and how Hirokoshi is unfortunately unable to like have like a drawn up like volume cover for Vigilantes, but that this is pretty much more or less confirming that Vigilantes is most likely coming to an end, and that when it comes to Hirokoshi, how he's really sort of kind of like dreading the idea that his final goal is in sight, and how he will no longer be able to draw these characters. And how I interpret this is to be that Hirokoshi is really looking forward to drawing the final fight, but that he's probably going to be a little bit sad and a little bit more melancholic, because once we reach the end, he probably won't be drawing these characters anymore, which he probably would be sad about, because I mean, he's been drawing it for years and he's grown an attachment to these characters. So I would assume that, yeah, he would be a little bit more sad with the fact that the story is ending and that he may not be able to draw these characters anymore, which is very unfortunate, but hopefully he will enjoy it on the way there as much as I would. And now we're getting to like the final end of the volume extras, where we get a final page talking about Ethan Drive. He's 45 years old and he's one of Star and Stipe's bros. His birthday is apparently March 16th. He is 190 centimeters. Wow, he is only slightly shorter than Stars and Stripes, but that is still tall. To put it in like perspective, I'm like 183 centimeters. These guys as military men are over 6 foot by a significant margin. But I mean, yeah, they're in the military, they're buff. Obviously they would be strong. As well as his likes is vehicles. I don't know why I find that hilarious. He just likes vehicles. He probably likes trucks, motorcycles, bikes, Star and Stripes. He likes to ride all of these vehicles all day long. And from what we get with a small excerpt about Ethan, he apparently has faced death with Star and Stripes multiple times and is very proud of her growth, and that Hirokoshi really likes him a lot. So I'm glad that Hirokoshi likes Ethan. That's great to hear. And yeah, we pretty much get like the final like pieces of information, or just some final images for the volume extras. We get Benton Court, who's apparently drawn Shoto and his type of art style in the vigilante art style as a samurai, as well as we get to see a Mei Hatsume image at the end of this chapter and on the back of the tankobon on the back of this book. So yeah, this is very cool. And one last thing that I forgot to bring up is kind of like the last few pages of the volume extras, where you just have Star and Stripes saying that in the next volume, Dabi has stated to take an interest in fashion, look forward to it, and that this is going to be amazing because the next volume, I believe, comes out July 4th, Independence Day, which I think Hirokoshi has planned. So that's something else that I forgot to bring up. So yeah, that's pretty much all that I really have to say about the volume extras for volume 34. So let me ask you, did you enjoy this video of me talking about the volume extras? And do you want to see me talk about more volume extras from previous volumes or volumes in the future? Leave your thoughts down in the comments down below. I would love to read them and get more feedback back from you if you want to see more content like this. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel for more content on My Hero Academia. Do all that cool jazz, and hopefully I'll be able to catch you in my next video. Goodbye!